Hello. How are we doing today?
How is everyone?
Me and Diana are, or Diana and I. My son would correct me if he heard me. Ah, forgive me, I'm a little tired and punchy. Diana's got all the energy though.
I
Um,
don't know about that, but okay. I'll take your word for it.
we are in a new moon in Leo. This is what we've been waiting for. It is the opening, to me, it's the opening of the heart portal. Because your heart, it's your heart though. And it's based on us loving ourselves and accepting ourselves to be attracted to that new path that's calling us. The whole world's blowing up out there. Hi, Cat Mama. Tower moments going right and left because we had Uranus squaring the sun and the
The
moon.
sun and the
Yes.
moon.
And they,
And on the other
Uranus,
side,
yeah,
it's
and
that
on,
Jupiter thing.
okay, so at the square with Uranus is shocks and surprises. Now, most of our community knew that this information was going to start coming out pretty soon, but it's going to be like be like the tower moment. It's going to just keep going. It's just going to not stop, and we have to be able to take control of our energy column, our energy field, and not let that external stuff suck us into the void, because that's a distraction, and it's given to us on purpose. I'm not saying don't watch the news. It's very important to keep up, but I am saying not to give away all your power to it. um, Basically, we can, as long as we're following our heart, we can create anything right now. This is
Hmm.
powerful energy with Leo. I mean, Sun in Leo, Venus in Leo, and the Moon in Leo. Go
Well,
ahead.
well, Venus is still within orb as well. She's at 18 degrees, so she's still close enough to the sun and the moon, since you give them a 10-degree orb each, where that whole soothing relief with all this tower moment that's going on, there is a big sense of release and a sense that we can get back to our heart
Mm,
centeredness, with how
mm,
it's not that we're dropping our guard,
right.
but we can feel our angels a little closer now.
Mm,
We have White Moon Lilith out there doing some good stuff too. That's Celine, and
mm,
that's the part of the point of the moon that is the closest to the earth.
mm,
She brings in the energy of angelic realm and the divinity and
mm.
superior thought, higher love.
Beautiful. There's so much that spirit is speaking to us with all the planets and points right now about
Hmm.
if you are doing what you love. If you and first of all, you gotta love yourself, and you have to accept yourself.
Hmm.
And it's despite our whole entire past of what we thought we did wrong or what people said to us, it is what we've been working on the last 20 years, especially these last 3 years, was clearing all that distortion out of our system. It's
Hmm.
not easy. I know. I've done it. I've had to, you know, a few dark nights of the soul, too many sometimes, but I learn every time, right? And I always knew this day was coming, and here it is. And it is all spirit directed, spirit guided.
Hmm.
But we have free will choice, and it's where do you want to put your attention?
Hmm.
Because where your attention goes, your energy flows. And
Right.
that will go into, Diana and I are going to do the 12 universal spiritual laws. Kate and I are going to do something about them too, on love notes, and um, Sun Psychic Jean and I are, because it's
You can't talk.
information. Right. Thank you. Can't talk about it enough.
Right.
Once you know how to work your energy field, you the sky's the limit. You can create your biggest wishes, your biggest dreams, your the life you always wanted to have, and it's available to us right now.
Right.
And it's just kind of it just opened this door since equinox, and we got to here. But there's so much more going on. Do you want to go into the Venus star point that
Well,
started on the 13th?
yeah. I mean, let me touch 1 minute more back on Celine, because right now in the
Yeah.
sky she's conjunct Chiron. How perfect. We are
Yeah.
having to work with our wounds to heal our wounds, because Chiron and Aries is all about that to begin with. And
Mhm.
with her there giving us angelic support, higher thought
Mhm.
support, making intervening and putting light on the cure, what we
Mhm.
do to help let go of all of that. And don't forget, we have that North Node also in Aries,
Mhm.
showing us the way forward, with balance being found in letting go in Libra.
Mm.
No
And
longer
that
serves our purpose.
and
If it,
that's so true. Wow.
sometimes we have to learn how to live with our scars.
Yes. Oh my God, that's brilliant because I mean that's ultimately what we do, and it's an acceptance. It's
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about forgiveness. I'm not talking about anything.
Right.
Basically it is what it is. It's over now, and we can move on.
But
It sounds cold, but it's wait. Go ahead. Say what you.
it's a badge.
Yeah.
Right? It's your badge of courage. It's where you have
Yeah.
had to make the adjustments in your life to get over and adapt and get beyond.
Mm. Beautifully stated because it's so true. None of us get out of here unscathed.
Right.
We all we all had to go through it, and uh, I don't know why. I think it's on a soul level. We chose to come here to help transition from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, and it's something we were very excited to do on a soul level. It's just we're a little tired now, but this new energy coming in is going to re-energize us too.
Well, and we still have the Grand Cross in the sky, which
Yeah.
still is involving Pluto and whatever passes over him at the opposite end, so that is
Mm,
still going on. And so the Venus star point that was formed is not in Aries. The
mm,
Venus star point that was formed is in Leo,
mm,
which is another
mm.
of a journey, which is a different star point in your own personal chart.
And isn't that though the Venus star point Leo based on your heart,
Exactly.
connecting to your
Up to
heart?
opening up to the new definition of love, which people who
Right.
are born with the Aries star point, um, it started in 1929 and it goes until 2038.
Mm,
And
mm,
you if your birthday falls in an area where that star point in Aries, the Kizami, however you say it, of the Sun and Venus is in Aries, closest to your birthday, then without going past your birthday. The only
mm,
time you use it when it is past your birthday is if it's within 5 to 9 days.
mm,
Otherwise, you stick with the one that is closest to your birthday without going past it.
mm,
So, like my birthday's in June, but the Kizami occurred in Aries. And like many people who are born in my generation, that's when you have that time. So the dates will be, a little bit different, but from the people born between 1929 to 2038 and
wow.
born in that in time of that Aries star point, our mission, our job is to redefine marriage. That's
Mm,
in 1929. If you think about it, we had the end of World War I, but it's also prior to the Great Depression, and women were having to go to work during wartime and do things to maintain the household during wartime in a way that they hadn't done before. And now come on upon World War II and all of us baby boomers that came afterwards, we are, if your birthday falls there, you are part of that redefinition of the meaning of marriage. And look at what has happened with, I'm getting chills, with all of the LGBTQ movement and the acceptance of diversity and women in the workforce. And it is a taking back of both the divine feminine, but the divine masculine as well.
Right.
Because we cannot survive without that. Procreation has to come between male and female, but this is, as with the universal law, not necessarily gender of sexuality, but rather gender of thought. We all have a masculine side, we all have a feminine side. The higher purpose is to redefine by refining.
I love it. So Dinah has been really, she's a lifelong astrologer, but she's really gotten into this Venus star point because it was coming up this year. And that changes every 9 years, 8 years.
8 years. Let me touch on that right now while you brought that up, because what occurs, and I should have pulled up a better picture. Maybe I can get one really fast on the phone. Hold on.
Hi,
Did say something.
Hi, Glow. I'll just say hi to everybody.
Sure.
Hi, Dee. Hi. Yes, Anja, I agree with you. It's the breakdown of the patriarchy. Thank God. That old distorted patriarchy. Hi, Jay. Hi, Kate. Hi, Cat Mama. Okay, here she goes. She's got. Hi, Teresa. Janice. Hi. Perrette. Hi.
So you see these fancy little lotus flowers forming in here. The beauty of the lotus flower.
Yeah.
This is, also the basis of that Venus star point as it goes around. There's 5 points to the flower, right? So the unfolding of the 5 points is a pentacle, right? And that's 5 points. And that is seen from the position of the sun. Now, it's an 8-year cycle as this Venus, Kizami the sun, goes around, or, whatever sign it falls in, whether it's Aries or not, does not matter at this point. Where that goes, it takes 8 years for it to happen, right? To get back to the top of the, what is called the head. The top point is called the head.
Okay.
So in my case, and with many here in this room, whose birthdays would come around my time, especially in 1949, 48, 40, maybe even 47, you might fall in that. So anyway, it in that 8-year cycle, which is the perspective of the earth, to make those 8-year travel. But from the perspective of Venus, it takes 15 years because she travels slower. So now we have those sacred numbers of 5, 8, and 13. Because that is how flowers unfold, all of them.
Wow. I didn't know that. Wow.
And there's so many things that fall into this sacred pattern of 5, 8, and 13.
I'm just going to put it up kind of higher so everyone can, well, maybe I'm not. Go ahead. I'm sorry. There.
That's all right.
And so this, and what does this information give us if we go?
What does this information give us? Okay.
Yeah, like a star.
So what is Aries about? There you go. There you go. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So what is Aries about?
That's what
I am. I am that I am.
Mm-hmm.
That's Aries' message, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's about the distinct identity that is shaped through this gentleness of the kiss between Sun and Venus. So it's the love heart centeredness, an approach that comes from the profound belief in the self. There you go.
That's cool. It's how it does it. This
I
is how
mean,
the transit works.
I was a kid when Spirograph came out. And you know how many of those I made with Spirograph? Not knowing what I was doing, just mesmerized by the fact that these little gears with holes in them created these phenomenal patterns. And it's the way things orbit, because they're all different. Some are elongated, some are, none of them are really perfectly round. Some are undulating, they go up and down. And then you have that slow down backup thing, you know? So there's a lot that goes on when it is formed.
It's really cool. So you're saying it's about creating your individuality again.
Yes, and loving yourself for it. You know, we've been led to believe that self-centeredness is wrong. Well, it can be wrong if you make it wrong.
Right.
But it comes right back to the before airplanes. If you don't put your life vest on first, you can't save anybody else.
That's right.
You know, and that has followed through humanity. If you don't know how to swim, there's nothing you can do, period, right? Except to help you have a life jacket. Right. But anyways, it is also a profound belief in the self and what it is you are capable of doing, coming back from anything. So in this Aries star point, if your star point is formed with Aries as the head, you feed into Scorpio, right? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have wrote Scorpio. It's supposed to be Taurus. I don't know why I wrote Scorpio.
Well, they're opposites on the wheel. It's a lot of information.
I know. Oh, but shame on me. Anyway, okay. So when it feeds into Virgo, Virgo is the wait a minute, let me back up. I might be confusing.
Okay, here, go ahead.
Because the reason why is because I was doing somebody else's chart at the same time looking at it.
Now you got all the information in there.
So if I wrote down Mars, it's got to be Mars, right?
Yeah.
That's your karmic star. The next one would be the Kazami between Mars and the Sun in Scorpio, which would have been in November, 9 months later. Well, so more like 10 months later. So okay. That one, the one that we're born under in 1949, occurred on April 16th, 1949 at 26 degrees. Okay. The next one that occurred would have been approximately 10 months later, because what happens when that Kazami occurs is Venus gets lost in the shadow of the sun. And so she hides for about 3 weeks. You can't see her. The Kazami occurs, but she still is emerging. She begins to emerge after 3 days. So she's about to start emerging tomorrow. You won't be able to see her till, I think, like the 23rd of this month, as the sun goes into Virgo and as Mercury stations to go retrograde. She's going to appear, but she is coming up as the morning star. And as a morning star, she is a warrior goddess. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, no. Aunt Andra was asking what program is that. And it's just, I just Google searched Venus star point, and they have the still pictures, and then they have the ones that are three-dimensional, 3D. Is that right? Am I saying that right? The one that was moving. So that's all that is. It's not a program. It's just a piece. Right. Okay. So okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
I was just
No,
saying.
that's okay. Let me recollect myself because
I'm
I'm.
the same way. I'm sorry. I'm tired today, and I'm trying to stay.
That's okay too.
We have so much to talk about, and this is all about our hearts and about
Mhm.
taking our sovereignty back. So this is what the Venus star point does. So go ahead.
All right. So the next one that would have been formed happened in when the sun was in Scorpio, and Mars controls Scorpio, but Mars also controls Aries. So that's,
Mhm.
to me, I thought that, oh, that's pretty darn interesting because it's the I am factor feeding into what to keep secret, how to do your job, because what are the good points about Scorpio? Don't only think about the negatives,
Oh,
but
right.
sometimes you have to keep secrets, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
doing a job diligently and having the capacity to trust yourself again with that I am energy of the morning star, you know?
Tenacity. Scorpio
Right.
is about tenacity. They will
Right.
figure it out.
So that energy coming from the morning star in Aries, which is a sign controlled by Mars, hits down to Scorpio, which is a sign controlled by Mars, and that is beginning to show you the point for your karmic star. Then the next time when it went up, it formed a star, either Cancer or Gemini, because it was in a changing pattern at that time. So it's a point where if your birthday is close to either one
Mm.
of those two dates, if it's close enough to the date after, you can stick with that one. But you are also still affected by the date prior to that. Okay.
Mm.
Just like parallels in a chart.
Mm.
That within 30 degrees of each other, there's still a support system, especially if you're on that same arc, that
Mm.
5-10 points where, yeah, it's still kind of in the same corner. They're going
Mm-hmm.
around the trap.
Mm-hmm.
And then that Gemini or Cancer, whichever yours is, it flops over into Aquarius. And what is
Mm.
Aquarius about? Aquarius is about another adaptation, but thinking outside of the box, the
Yeah.
creative source. So if you have a Gemini as that other one, now you have a very creative message delivery over to Aquarius, feeding into Aquarius to get the creative juices
Mm-hmm.
flowing. Boom. And then the next one that would occur from there, where when you're in there, um, you are able to inspire other people
Mm-hmm.
to do and follow along and catch your lead, not to be the leader, but to catch the lead, like this is how you do it. And then they get out there on the dance floor and they do it their own way, but they've caught the beat, right? So then that Aquarius moves down into Leo and maybe into Virgo, because again, it was a counterpoint where the interaction from that Aries point in 1949 would have had the possibility of being in either section. So that's how I confused myself. The Virgo. I'm looking at it going, I wrote that in the wrong place. No, I didn't. It was somebody else's chart prior that helped confuse me. But
Well,
that is feeding into the heart. That is feeding into the foot of stability.
mm.
That is the heart center because it's Leo. It's about perfection because it's Virgo.
Mm.
And so that interaction between those two is going to come right back up to this top, right? Brings you
Mm.
back to Aries, only when it occurs in Aries the next time, it's going to be over here, a couple
Mm.
degrees farther, because the star is formed the same way the nodes go around,
And
not
it
the way
keeps,
the planets go around. The
right.
planets go reversed, right?
Notes
But
go
the
backward.
star point is formed by going clockwise, just as the nodes go around. So,
Wow. Wow.
so with that, Aries, it's about the distinctive identity and that whole redefining. And if you think about it, that's a long time. That's a little bit over 100 years of having this Venus star point. So many of us here in this room, and the information that I got from my book by Gutman, what's her name? Ariel Gutman. Great book if you can read it. um, is that it's right now it's the most populous star point on Earth, and we're part of the baby boomer generation.
Yeah. And,
So
and they are going in a different trajectory than they
right,
have been brought up to believe is true. It's
right,
all coming into your own awareness and going forward with that and saying, no, that's not me. This is me, and I'm going this way.
exactly. And if you think about what was going on in 1929 as well, women were raising their skirt hems and telling them, talk to the hand, you know. No, we're not doing that. I'm not. You are out of your mind. I'm not going to work in the factory to get my skirts caught in a cotton mill, you know.
Yeah, it
And
was
think about all
brutal.
of that was going on, you know.
Yeah.
And children, work laws for children started to come in. So my grandmother, who was born in 1896, my mother was born in 1928.
Mm,
So my mother spawned me, right?
mm,
I'm that seed
mm.
of her generation. Now, I haven't done
Wow.
my mother's chart partially because I don't know what time of day she was born.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, it's hard. You got to know
and
the time to get the ascendant and the house line up, in case
yes,
anybody's wondering why the time is so important. But it the thing with Leo is once you get into your heart and you are on your path and you are enjoying you are going for your passions, Leo likes to play. That's where the joy and the fun comes in, and the
yeah,
experiencing life.
and children gravitate towards that Leo personality.
Yeah.
Um, they're often called the drama queen king of the zodiac, but they're the best actresses and actors out there
Yeah.
in so many ways because they can play the role.
Yeah.
They can play the role. And now every sign can do that.
Right.
But somewhere in that chart of yours, no matter what sign you are, you have a Leo factor.
Yeah. Fact.
Whether it's empty in your chart, there are still transiting planets, and sometimes they're the slow ones that are the creative goals that you set for a lifetime rather than the quick moving, have to adjust, the car broke down, got a flat tire, and I'm on my way to work.
Mhm.
Who's that? That's Mars
Mhm.
with a nail in the tire, right?
Mhm. And Uranus is the one that's going to give you vision, right? So this Uranus squaring all of these points right now. It's like an abrupt stop.
Right.
Look at it another way is what Uranus is saying.
Right.
There's more to this, and you're not seeing past. You're not opening that perception door and looking further out
Right.
into the magic that we are, right?
Right. And so we still have this yacht in the sky, though. Venus is over here, and I didn't include her in this.
Hmm.
This is what an isolated version looks like
Okay.
when at the moment of the kiss, right?
Hmm.
So it was at 20 degrees of Leo for me here in Grand Blanc at 6:05 p.m. on the day of the Kizami.
Which was the
And
13th. Okay.
right, and then we have at the bottom of this yod, and that's the finger of God.
Yep.
This is what you've got to do. I'm telling you, this is the best way for you. You've got to listen, right?
Hmm.
So wherever you have a yod in your chart, it is the finger of God letting you know this is your calling.
Hmm.
It might not be your career, but this is your calling. And I have a very lucky chart. It has saved my life in more than one occasion. Sorry, I'm getting choked up. But
Mhm.
it has also presented me opportunity to fall into my calling, which was teaching 4 and 5-year-olds.
Mhm.
And I have another one that goes in this direction that stems from the opposite way, with the release point being Jupiter, my lucky Jupiter. And one was in the 4th house about children, and one was in the 9th house about being the teacher, higher education, continuing education. So
Mhm.
at any rate, when you see a yod, more than likely it is part of where a kizami had occurred.
Oh.
Okay. So,
Well, say, can I ask a question? Or Kazami? So Kazimis are frequent, more frequent than we think. Anytime a planet goes and looks like it's getting lost in the sun, and that could be any of the planets.
right. And it doesn't necessarily have to be Venus.
Okay.
It could be like one of mine is Pluto. One
Mm.
of mine is Venus, but one of mine, because that is the one I was born under. But the opposite one is pointing to Jupiter.
Okay.
So that's the release point, is that Jupiter. And that's in Aquarius.
Yeah,
Okay.
Aquarius. Hi,
But
Joan.
that doesn't show up in my star, because my star was when it bounced in 1949, and the subsequent year after that, or 19 months later when it occurred again, it would have been in
Oh no.
where'd you go? Would have been in Scorpio.
I don't know what that was, but you didn't go too far. So
Right. Which this is I don't know, I haven't tried to figure this one out, which, because it probably entails math, but my son just happens to be in the 8th house.
Mm. That's a hard place. I'm saying,
right?
yeah, we've got to explain. The 8th house is ruled by Scorpio. So if you have anything in the 8th house, you are really good at deducing and seeing the the patterns, the deep down cellular structure. It doesn't matter what sign is there or what what you have there. It's ruled by Scorpio. Huh?
I wrote the feet down backwards. That's what I did. They should be reversed, because I'm pretty darn sure it goes in the. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're getting the gist of it.
Yeah.
Please forgive me. I am learning it. I'm trying very hard to digest most of this.
You are
to be ready for today, because it was so close.
But you're doing excellent. And I mean, she's explaining it to me, and I'm like, goodness, so she looked up my Venus star point, and I'm like, you should do these for a reading. That's really cool, because it gives you that, you know, it helps you hone in on the vision
Mm-hmm.
that is
So
indicative of your life throughout your life. Go ahead. Sorry.
right. So when this one occurred, it was, let me make sure, because how come Black Moon, I don't have, there she is, White Moon, but somehow I missed putting Black Moon Lilith back in.
Yeah, they're
So
together.
Black Moon Lilith was also involved in this Kizami, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was Black Moon Lilith, who was at 18 degrees, and then Venus and the Sun at 20 in Leo, and also Regulus was conjunct in that mix also. It was right below Venus and the Sun. So it was in that heart center, place of love. Regulus is in the center of Leo. And we had Neptune at 27 degrees and Pluto at 26 degrees, finding the dreams of the future and a better way to make it happen.
Yes.
Pluto and Capricorn, that is a sextile between those two. That's a positive thing. And look at the excitement of this past couple days.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's them having done a very fine job of bringing the light out. So
Yeah.
in the Sumerian text, which is the older text, it dates back to 2000 years BC. Anana is the star of Venus, is Venus. And so the legend is about Anana. Before she kisses the moon, or sun, she disappears from the sky. And as she goes below, it's because she hears this calling. She can't find her sister. So she's queen of the night sky, but she's got to go below to look for her sister. So she has her best friend not take the journey with her, but watch for signals if she needs help. And so Anana gets down in there looking for her sister, Arushtadel, and she can't find her. And then when she does, Arushtadel is angry with her, and she gives her the stare of death. You've been above and nobody came to rescue me, and I've been down here and I've been raped and whatever that, But she is fine down there. She doesn't want to go back up. Now she's queen of below with Dumuzi, right? I'm sorry, not Dumuzi, but
I see.
Hades, not Hades. Hades is Greek.
Yeah. So that because there's
Yeah,
two similar stories, but Diana's going back to the Sumerian one instead of the
right.
Greek one.
The story is basically the same, except that when the Greek start to tell it, it becomes Persephone and Hades, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are Hades is the king of the hell realm.
Mm-hmm.
And what is hell? We can die 1,000 times in one lifetime. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a loose term, just like virgin is a loose term.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
But at any
Virgin, just so we're clear, virgin means sovereign unto yourself. So
yes,
they tried
I'm to be a virgin too.
yeah, and this is something we need to be aware of because in our society, a lot of the words have been twisted to mean something else that they don't, and people assume that's the correct definition when it's not.
Right.
Just a side note. Go.
No, that it's true.
Yeah.
So what happens is she dies, and she's dead. She's gone for 3 days. She's missing for 3 days as she's kissing the sun. And in that, what happens? It's rebirth. She's reborn when she comes back out. As she begins to surface, she's going to come back as the morning star.
So that's kind of our rebirth in this next couple of days. We are rebirthing into ourselves.
Because that is the pattern we're in. Now she's going to do it again, but she's going to be a morning star for 9 months, the human gestation period. So what are you giving birth to? What is it you need to change? Here, this brings us all back to where the placement of the North Node and South Node are. The fact that Chiron is in Aries with them, and the ability to heal old wounds, or wear your battle scars with pride, because there's nothing wrong with how you got them.
No.
It was usually due to the power hunger of someone else who was trying to take your power away.
And I'd even take it further than that. There's somebody that's like that I say this, hurt people. And it's been going on for generations because they've followed societal structures and constructs to say, this is how you raise your kid. This is how you educate people. This, right? And we're realizing that that is a false construct. They're false constructs, and they're not stable. They're not sustainable. They're not life affirming. So that whole thing is being changed and rebirthed through Venus.
Right.
Especially now in this next couple of years.
Right. And so the other thing is the story is so cool. I mean, her best friends finds this guy to go looking for her and bring her back, and he does so, but in the absence of Venus, her or Anana, her husband is Dumuzi, and Dumuzi is Mars. He's the next one to do this journey, right? He's the next one who's going to go below. And so when that occurs, he's going to take her place in Hades, and she's going to come back, be the warrior, and reclaim her throne as a morning star.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And see, do you see how the divine feminine, Venus, is involved and the divine masculine, Mars, is involved? And there's going to come to where there's this balance, because without this balance, humanity doesn't have a chance. It's been too unbalanced for too long. And this is what we're trying. We all have a part to play in this.
Mm-hmm.
By, first of all, by loving yourself and accepting yourself, going in your heart, and we all become part of the dance that makes this balance happen.
Right. So when she comes out, when she does emerge and becomes visible as a morning star, she's going to show herself in Hydra, another long Draco type eel, right? She's got these 7 heads. And the thing with Hydra is if you cut off one head, she gets 2 more. So before you knew it, she was the monster of heads, but it was because someone was trying to take her power. She's very powerful.
So don't you see that as her gaining more wisdom every time?
That's every time. No, you thought you killed me, but now there's 2 of me. I can get you from all sides, right?
You just made me smarter.
Right. So that is also adding to her ability to come back from this and be able to take back her throne. This is all of this time that we're all in, reclaiming the divineness of all gender. It's got nothing to do with sexuality. It's the divineness of gender, period. The balance that needs to come out of that.
Wow, I love how you explained all that, because it makes it gives the story, and it gives the visual of, and this game, this dance has been playing for thousands of years, right? We're here at this specific time and space where we are leaving the age of Pisces and going into the age of Aquarius. And there's this chaos period, and it's gonna, it's gonna be kind of bumpy, especially next 2 years. But in the meantime, while all that external is kicking and screaming, if we go in and connect to our heart, to who we are, to our Venus and our Mars, right?
744, my angel numbers.
Cool. I think we all feel it.
Yeah.
We all feel something is different,
Well, this whole Lionsgate, it's still going on. It's become a little more comfortable, but it is. It was a very hard one, I thought, because all of these major changes that we have been aware of, especially in this community, because we're empaths, etc., and in our audience as well, we're all talented people, and we've recognized that we have talents, and the 3D world is very difficult for us, and because we do reside in the higher 4D into the 5D.
Absolutely. Yep.
I mean, the 5D
or higher.
If you,
some of us are higher.
Right. You can take I found a little quiz today. I took it, and I'm in that higher 4D realm. But the only reason, they told me the only reason why you're not in 5D is because you're interested in things most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you would just know if you're in 5D. I'm like, wait, what a minute, what? I do just know, but I don't have the language down pat, so I got to read a book. Or I got to listen to somebody else so I can gather in information to pass on.
And there's
So,
okay, I get what they're saying, but at the
yeah,
same time, you can't really just to determine where my
right.
energy level is or how, because even in 5D, what are we going to do? Sit around and just eat grapes? I mean, what are we doing?
Well, and that's just it, because we are human in nature. So
Mm-hmm.
that 5D is part of the transcendence that goes into 6D and above.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be on with Terry Renner tomorrow at 1:00, and we're going to talk about the universal laws.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to talk a little bit about the realms, because those first 5 dimensions, definitely the first 3 dimensions, even the portion of the 5th dimension, for 4th dimension, is definitely still in the physical.
Yeah,
We
I don't
don't
think
live in an ashram. We are not guru. We are
exactly.
not the Dalai Lama. We are of this earth, and we have to go grocery shopping, and we have to go to the bank, and we have to go to the post office.
But don't you
It's,
agree that we could make that a 5D experience at it if we elevated our system? I don't want to call them systems because they wouldn't be in 5D. They would be higher structures where there was harmony and peace and balance, and everybody was, say, living their passion, doing what they love.
yeah,
The whole structure of how we live. This is where I see that higher 5D is. We're in a body, but we're enjoying Earth, like
right,
really enjoying Earth. Not just we're human beings. We don't have to work 80 hours a week
right.
to pay to live here. You know.
Well, those first 3 dimensions, the first 2 are definitely about the below, because it's that identification of the minerals, and then it's the identification of the plants, and then it's the identification of the animals in the 3D. And what are we? Human animals. Ask Jiminy Cricket. You are the human animal. Anybody out there, Mickey Mouse Club fan from the 50s?
Well, but still, I mean,
You're unique.
we could say this crystal is probably a lot more advanced than
Then,
a lot of people.
well, it is. And it moves and it breathes and it
Right,
has a heartbeat.
right,
But it is so slow in its movement compared to the density that we occupy,
right,
our frequency, our vibration, that we have to slow down in meditation in our breath so
right.
that you catch the flow, the vibration, the frequency, the color
Yeah,
of that.
yeah,
Because sound is color,
yeah,
vibration is color,
yeah.
color is vibration.
Oh, Diana, put colors to the 12 universal laws too. That would be interesting.
Oh, yeah, we could do that too. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we put the signs to assigned to each universal law,
Yeah.
and then I think Kate's going to make a musical note for each individual law, because once you get and then if we have color, you get these basic things and you'll understand that stream of energy and how to utilize it best for you.
So if the first divine law is the recognition of divine oneness,
Mm-hmm,
right? The first universal law, sorry,
mm-hmm,
is the identification of divine oneness,
mm-hmm,
that everything is connected.
mm-hmm.
If that be so, then
And
those first 3 dimensions are about identifying that we need that 4th dimension, so that there is polarity, because 1 is a dot, 2 is polarity,
mm-hmm,
it is connectedness, right? It is opposition, it is polarity, it is reflection, and then
mirror, yeah,
split.
yeah,
And as a split, now you've got the 3rd dimension. That third dimension is the geometric figure that gives you space and time, right? And so now we have a third point, even if it's on the same plane, it's a third point, adding dimension. It is now length and width and the split. And the where that third point occurs is what brings together the polarity into oneness. Okay? So that's where the recognition of that divine oneness begins. Because we don't know if a rock recognizes dimension beyond its own dimension.
But I think we did it one time. I think it was programmed out of us to not be connected to nature, to be just like it's not to be connected to ourselves.
Right. When
So I
we
think
were
we're
on the road to Shambhala.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
there's so much we don't remember.
And you think about those Buddhist temples. What I always forget what they're called. They look like little turbans.
Yeah.
They're shrines, and there's
everywhere.
Lots of everywhere. I always forget what they're called, and I always have to look them up. But I love those, and I feel as if I was a mole in there somewhere. You know, I was a little animal that found its way into living in there, inside one of those little heads, because most of them have, filigree work giving them openings. So
I mean, it's mind blowing to think how those were made and built, and all those Angkor all that stuff.
Machu Picchu, Stonehenge. How
crazy.
I
know. We're coming back into it. We're coming back into
there's
that.
more to this than meets the eye. And
yes, there is. And we're remembering it, and and those great civilizations, we get the gist of the history. I don't think we get the details. Like, you go in the Bhagavad Gita and things like that. There's a lot there.
But. Yes, but again, I prefer reading the Old Testament than to read the New Testament, because it's always about interpretation, including with the Old Testament. But at least there is the kind of places where you get stories about the Sumerians.
No.
If we go by the time frame.
Hold on, is that you, Kate, in a evacuation order for fire? Please send protection bubble. Everybody send her her area some protection. Oh my goodness, all these fires. Sorry. I want to make sure she's talking, it's about her, or if it's somewhere else, so we know where to send the protection. So go ahead. So these remembrances, or these in this history, somehow to me seems like it's all going to come into this bigger story.
Well, and it's like Andra said the other day, there's only one mind. Yeah. It's only one mind. Yeah. Which reminds me of that old cartoon, Pinky and the Brain. Which reminds me of,
I love that show.
What's his name in the Wayback Machine from Rocky and Bullwinkle. I mean, how many times has this been covered?
Exactly.
If you think about how
okay, send cartoons protection. Sorry. Okay. Everybody send Kate's area protection, please. Fire coming to her. Go ahead. Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Big bubble of protection surround Kate and her family and her friends. May the magical unfolding of the lotus blossom protect them. And blessings to their home, animals, neighbors. So mote it be.
So it is.
Hmm.
And see, this is what I'm talking about. This next 2 years, it's going to be bumpy like this because there's so much that's being restructured on Mother Earth, let alone in our systems. Mother Earth has got to get balanced out. Inside of her is a divine feminine and a divine masculine.
Exactly. Exactly.
Blessings to you,
I mean,
Kate.
a plant makes itself male or female depending on what it needs in order to present a flower.
That's brilliant. That's what I need. That's why we just make it like this. This way, there's none of that division, right? You
Yeah.
still have the duality going on, but you don't have to fight them. Anyway, I digress. But
So, yeah.
so Pinky the Brain used to crack me up that you brought that
Yeah.
up. I was just determined to see that little. He's gonna take over the world, save the world, And I was like, he's gonna do it this time.
Right. They need to revive that show. But think about Disney and even Fleischer cartoons. I mean, those old cartoons, Disney was Silly Symphonies and Looney Tunes with Merry Melodies. Those were all stories that have been written down, legends that have been written down and put to symphonic music. The boy Peter and the Wolf, that's a symphony. The music in Fantasia, and those little blurb cartoons that we used to get to see in the theater on Saturdays before the main event started, where we got 2 movies and a day of cartoons for a dime on Saturdays. Sure. Oh my gosh.
So much fun. Yeah, it was the best.
Stuck in your teeth because it was stale from the night before.
It was fun though. I used to
but who cared? They put butter on it.
Yeah, right. You're a kid. You don't
real
care.
Butter.
Yeah, you're just happy that you're sitting somewhere out of your house and watching a big screen. I used to sit in the movie theater.
Deep meaning. Those cartoons had deep meaning.
Oh goodness, yeah, they did.
Especially when thinking about where the cartoonist artist even came from. He came from a deep source. He came from generations that's what they were learning in school if they got to school, and if not, they were just pulling books off the daddy's shelf or the library shelf, hopefully, and learning these things regardless, because it was part of the education system. And then now the monkey brain that ran through my head is what they're doing to books.
It's terrible. But don't you think that's an interesting point you just brought up? When there wasn't an education system in place, people were looking for knowledge. They were looking to share books with each other and information and gain wisdom. And now they make it seem like, oh, you don't need this. Burn that one, burn this one. That's not going to fly. No. It's not going to fly. It's not.
You cannot make an educated decision, an educated choice if you do not have an education.
Absolutely. I agree.
And you can seek that education on your own.
If
they're burning the books in certain states, go look at the used bookstore and buy all the ones you can that have value to what it is you're interested in. Because especially in those earlier days before the alteration, the deliberate alteration of information.
Yeah. Way back
if it had an endorsement from a publisher, a certain publishing house, it had to be true. It had to be the real thing. Even if it has the imprimatur on it from the Catholic Church, the information in there has to be approved by the Pope, which means it's at least, it's Catholic doctrine,
Well, can I say this about that though? Okay, we'll go back to when the popes and the Catholic religion started and the burning of the books of Alexandria, right? Look, so we have this history constantly coming up. They want to suppress the knowledge to take power
Power.
over the masses, right? So here we are again confronting this again, and it is. I, I don't care who wrote it. If I'm reading it, I I absorb it in a way that it makes sense for my
Mhm.
interest of it, whatever that subject is. And I try to be as neutral as possible when I read something.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Right. Take it with a grain of salt.
right.
What it's not like we're 18-year-olds. We have a past education to draw upon.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I know that the Catholic Church, altered stories to make them what they wanted them to be
Mm-hmm.
with the removal of power also.
Mm-hmm.
But they also still make reference to the fact that there was a Plato, there was a Hermes, there
That's
was,
right. But they
and you
did.
can't, Pythagoras geometry is still out
You,
there.
yeah,
I mean,
you can't get rid
so,
of it.
and at least I would say now that there's a pope who's trying to make amends, though he's still Catholic Church stuff. He's at least trying to make amends. I'm a recovering Catholic, so excuse me if I offend anybody out there. I
No.
still say my rosaries. I still do a lot of things, but those novenas and things of that nature are all based on old world witchcraft tales of
Pages and stuff. Right.
manifestation. I
Right.
mean, Nancy Jean does 9 candles. A Catholic in Christianity, in religion, 9 days is a cycle of ending. 9 is an ending, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's been going on since the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm. And
And
but this is what they did, and they did it brilliantly. Really, is they took the truth and they merged it in with the distortion, and so we got this.
yeah, all right, we're not going to make you give up Bridget, but we're going to change the story and make her a saint.
Right,
She's not a goddess. There are no
right,
goddesses. There's only a god.
right,
No, that's not true.
right, right.
But that you do, and even when writing became the norm and books were being created, the thought was, well, if you don't memorize it, how are you going to know that they're not writing falsehoods?
Mm-hmm.
You need to know this information passed mouth to mouth to mouth, legend to legend to legend,
Mm-hmm.
family history to family history, because you can't make that up because other people witnessed it.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
when
that
writing
oil.
first came about, they had the same concerns that we have, but it made them toe a Saturn law a little bit better, because you're talking about back in the Bronze Age,
Mhm.
as language was
Stone.
just into.
It was literally in stone, right?
Yeah,
They
it's
had
literally written in stone. The Rosetta, or why do I always forget what that
there's
stuff?
a couple good ones. Yeah, emerald tablets and
The Emerald tablets. I've got a book here that's the Emerald tablet. But cuneiform,
oh yeah,
written in stone. Hieroglyphics written in stone.
Marion. Yeah. Mm. It's just amazing to see the vastness of the history behind us, right? And a lot of it, they say, history is written by the victors, right? So we have to take it all with this. How does it resonate inside of me? How does it feel? What does my intuition and my abilities say? And can I utilize this to go forward in a more harmonious direction, or am
There
I
you
going to
go.
go get the art of war and try to, I mean,
Beautiful.
it's an excellent book, but really, it's wisdom in there without fighting.
Right.
But, you know, there's just so much. Uh, it's
So,
just it's interesting to be alive, and how many lifetimes have we lived through all this, and maybe we've had these same conversations before many times
right?
as being a group of women and
Yeah,
goddesses.
yeah, yeah. Trying to regain something in our strength, right? Can I touch back on the Venus star point for 1 minute,
Sure.
because I want to, because this is kind of recent history, and it has value. So we look at Obama, right? He was born with an Aries star point, and he was a Leo with his sun in the seventh house, a Gemini with Gemini moon in the fourth house, and his ascendant was Aquarius, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got to turn a light on here. Sorry. His words were, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for.
That's right.
We are the change we seek.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Basically repeating Gandhi,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine, because that's a message that we all need to take to heart. Now,
Yeah.
here's another person that has an Aries star point. This guy has a Cancer sun in the eighth house.
Mm.
He has a Virgo moon in the 10th house, and
Wow.
he has an ascendant of Scorpio. He said, I don't know the key to success, but the key to failure is to try to please everyone. You know who that was?
Yeah.
Bill Cosby. And look at what he did with
Mm.
the secrets he kept. And that Scorpio rising with that Cancer in the eighth house, and his desire for power. The two of them, born, years apart, but basically delivering decent advice, but one of them is more self-centered than the other.
Mm-hmm.
The Leo has the heart-centered, this is for everybody, we are the change, we need to be the change that we want.
Mm-hmm.
And another one who says, I don't know the key to success, but I know the key to failure.
Mm-hmm.
Don't please everybody. What do you
Yeah.
think,
And
Terry?
and the thing is, it was just so everyone knows, there's 12 signs. Each sign has their higher attributes and their lower attributes, and we all kind of um, hang out in the middle of that and work from there. But when somebody is really hell bent on being manipulative and they have it in their chart, boy, you can see it. But the same goes for the opposite. Someone like Gandhi's probably got a really. I've never looked at his chart, but I know Obama's chart's a really nice chart.
It is.
Um, Fascinating, fascinating, fascinating. Well, I want to say this: Diana is offering Venus star point readings. Her information is below. I'm going to stick her email in the chat one more time. And she also does astrology readings. And I do astrology readings, and my information's in the description box. Um, can contact us at either one of us anytime. We would love to read for you, because this is a fascinating point of history to have this information to give you an insight on how to go onto the remainders of our journey on our proper path, not this all this stuff trying to pull us off our path. What do you think?
Oh, you just can't make it up. That's
Yeah,
that's
you
what
really
I
can.
just can't. The synchronicities are more than just that, aren't they?
I mean, it's just the way spirit speaks to us with the planets and the solar flares, just all of it. It's amazing. It's
And I love the word coincidence because I don't think that there really are coincidences, but it's the easiest way to explain happenstance to 3D people.
yeah. I mean,
The power of manifestation that
yeah.
people understand.
And really, and here's the last thing I'll say, because we're all going to be doing shows on this. What is happening to you is a direct result of the energy you are in any moment. That's why we want to talk about these 12 universal spiritual laws on in every level that we can,
Right.
because it is connected. You do them all day anyway.
And
Oh,
they wash into each other.
oh,
There's really no separation of them because once another one becomes aware, you
mhm.
have to do those other ones to get there. And
Exactly.
so it's just it's like tweaking how much salt or how much time you're putting in or how much
Oh, I like that.
sage or fresh or dried.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
there's
recipe.
totally different flavor when you are able to use fresh herbs in your
Oh,
dish. I'm boiling down a big vat of my first harvest of tomatoes, right?
wow.
So, yeah, I was going to make ketchup, but no, I need to make some spaghetti sauce because I got spaghetti squash ready, and that's how I like to eat it.
Oh, yum. That sounds delicious. And see that, and I love that analogy with the recipe, because we are constantly adding, putting the right ingredients, or not, into our lives, and we are living those results in every moment. It's there's no separation, and it is, you're calling it in and you're bringing it out, and it's just constant. It's fascinating, and I can't wait till we dive into it more. But I know you're going to go with Allie for the dream
Yeah.
detectives, and Kate, and you have a fabulous night, and you're going to be with Terry Renner tomorrow. And don't forget, both of our information's below, and Diana's offering a Venus star point reading. um, and we will see you on the full moon in Pisces, the blue moon. Now, this is
Oh,
getting a little bit more interesting as we go along, isn't it?
yep.
Yeah, but
Yep.
the heart center, the heart chakra is open. Use your
Right.
heart. We love you.
And orbs of protection for everybody, especially those who are in need right now
Mhm.
in the
Kate,
places of fire and flood.
yeah. Blessings and love to everybody. Thank you. We will see you soon. We love you.
Love you guys.